We're going to my island for a few days.
Do you guys want to come?
This is crazy. Did we just jet off to a billionaire's island with a bunch of strangers?
No, he's not a stranger. He's Slater King.
Hi there. Welcome to my attic. My name is D.G. Valdron. I'm a writer, but I also do film reviews, and today we are going to be reviewing Blink Twice. Now, this is a movie by first-time director Zoe Kravitz. She co-wrote the script with somebody named E.T. Feigenbaum. I'm sure I've mispronounced both names, but I don't care about things like that. Starring Channing Tatum as Slater King. Oh, Jesus, where did they get a name like that? What, was Thrust Mason or Dash Ramrod taken? He plays a billionaire. And also in the movie are Naomi Ackie playing Frida, Alia Shawkat playing Jess, and Adria Arjuna playing Sarah, and a bunch of other characters. We have Haley Joel Osment and Christian Slater playing, their usual selves. So what's this movie about? Well, I think the ultimate message of the movie is that billionaires suck. Billionaires are gaslighting us, and they are toxic, and when you peel back the gaslighting and toxicity, they're even more gaslighting and more toxic. So it's a class warfare movie. It's also a feminist revenge movie, but what I find really interesting about it is the class warfare aspect, this distrust and even growing hostility to the wealthy and powerful in our society. So let's talk about the movie itself. I'm going to say it right at the start. This feels like it wanted to be a David Lynch movie. We've got Kyle MacLachlan, David Lynch's star character, coming in and doing some cameos. And we've got an effort at that kind of escalating sense of dread and creepiness, this portrait of both normality and the things crawling around under the surface that Lynch is so good at. But I don't think that Kravitz is really able to capture that feel. I think she was trying for it, but I don't think she gets there. So what we have is a movie that often feels like, a disconnected set of scenes or a set of moments, a set of story elements that just kind of get stapled together one after the other, but don't really flow seamlessly. So let's get into it. All right, so the movie opens with Slater King as a tech billionaire, and he is apologizing. He is very sorry. He's completely sincere. He's so sorry. We never find out what he's sorry about. That just doesn't enter into it. But as part of his apology tour, he goes on TV and he gives this interview, and he explains that he's turned over a new leaf, he's a new man, he's retreated to an island, and he grows his own vegetables, and he's back to nature, and he's even got chickens, all of which, as it turns out, is gaslighting. Okay, so we shift on from there to our protagonists, Frida and Jess. And what we find is that Frida and Jess are Laverne and Shirley, or possibly they are Pretty Woman, or possibly they are Cinderella. These are two working-class girls who are just struggling to make a living. They live in crappy apartments. They have, basically crappy low-rent lives, and they're just kind of struggling to make do. And they're working for a catering company. And that this catering thing, they end up catering Slater King's great big, millionaires, billionaires ball. And this is kind of where we get into Cinderella, or Pretty Woman, because, Jess and Frida sneak off into the background, during a break from catering. They switch out of their catering uniforms and they get into ball gowns, and they join the party. And they're fitting right in. They're having a great time, and, they're just kind of getting off on it. It's actually kind of nice, if they committed to this kind of thing fully in the movie. But instead, they're just kind of keeping the plot moving forward. Anyway, so of course, like any Cinderella story, something goes wrong. Frida breaks a heel. But wait, who comes to the rescue? Well, Prince Charming, of course. Slater King comes. He fixes her heel, and they start to bond. They're having a great time. They're looking into each other's eyes. They're touching hands and all that, and it's like smiling at each other. So we're into a kind of romantic fantasy sort of story. And then, of course, the ball ends and the girls are looking at each other and going, wow, did this turn out well or what? Wow, this is just great. How could we possibly top this? And Slater King comes running back, and he says, hey, girls, come to my island where we're going to have a great big party after. And they're going, yeah, why not? So they go off to the party, and we go to the next section of the movie. And this next section of the movie is basically Peter Pan. Slater King plays Peter, and he's taking all of his friends, his entourage, his guy entourage and a bunch of girls. And they're all accomplished. They're all tech moguls or reality show stars or, models of this sort or that sort. And, of course, our two working-class protagonists who snuck in. And they're off to the island where they just party nonstop. And there's a kind of Neverland quality to it because everybody kind of just loses track of time and where they are or how long they've been there. They're all just, partying. And this is the part I just wanted to set people on fire because they're so shallow. They're so vapid. And they're so pretentious in their conspicuous consumption. Everybody is standing around or playing all these party games, and they're, swanning about in designer dresses and sleeping on 4,000 thread count sheets. And they're drinking wine from $10,000 bottles and having their weed, flown in from the slopes of Tibet. And they're eating gourmet meals that are prepared by sushi chefs imported from Okinawa with mussels from the side of Mount Everest or whatever, and spices from Polynesia. And you just think, enough, okay. There are so many shots of these people laughing vapidly right into the camera, like they're having the greatest time ever. But it's all shallow and empty and hollow. Okay. And then the plot happens, the next part of the plot, because it turns out that we are in the time travel, the part where he goes to the future, and there's the Eloi who party all day and, live these lives of vapid innocence and pleasure and luxury, and then at night they get eaten by the Morlocks. What's going on is that, oh, by the way, I'm spoiling some stuff. These are midpoint spoilers. They're not like ending spoilers. But if you're completely anti-spoiler, just go away right now. Nobody will say anything. I'm not going to give away anything important from the end. Okay? Anyway, so what's really going on is that Slater King or his scientists have perfected sort of the ultimate date rape drug, something that wipes out your memory after you take it of the last 8 to 12 hours. So what happens is that during the day, Slater and his buddies are friends with the girls, and everybody's playing and innocent and having a great time, and it's romantic or sensual or whatever. And they've got these staffs of massage artists and, servants who are giving them the lifestyles of, absolute luxury. And then after night falls, the real guys come out. The Slater shows his true colors, and they begin to terrorize and chase and tie up and brutalize and beat and rape these women, and it's nightmarish. Except, of course, that they get their memories blocked, so none of them remember any of this. They have no trauma. Instead, they just wake up and they go, oh, what day is it? I don't really know. I don't really care. Let's just go off and party some more. And so the girls are locked into this cycle of perpetual partying, and the guys, are basically playing Morlocks at night where they do these horrible things. They show their true faces. Now, there's a further literary allusion because there are serpents in this Garden of Eden. There is a yellow snake. I don't know why it's yellow. I'm sure there's some sort of literary reason for that. But the point is that this snake, if it bites you, is mildly venomous. You will not die, but it will block the memory drug, and you will start to remember the horrible things that have happened to you, which is what happens to Jess, and she disappears from the movie. And then Frida, who is the only one that remembers her friend Jess, starts wandering around, and she meets this witchy little old lady who wants to share her drink. And it turns out that the drink she shares, in a whiskey bottle, is the snake venom. So there's even a little bit of an allusion there to Sleeping Beauty. The witch that gives the apple is, in this case, the witch that gives the snake venom. And of course, in Adam and Eve, the snake is the one that persuades Eve to take the apple. And in both cases, Frida is basically being given knowledge. She's being given the forbidden knowledge that she is not supposed to have. She gets to see behind the curtain and who the Wizard of Oz really is. And at this point, she begins to enlighten or to share the snake venom, willingly or unwillingly, with her fellow female guests. And they start to remember, and then the movie moves into its final phase, which is the feminist revenge bloodbath. I got no problem with it. This kind of revenge story kind of goes way back. It certainly goes back to Stepford Wives, and it goes probably back even further centuries. The notion of people who are kept in captivity, people who are kept blind, and when the scales fall from their eyes, they wake up and realize what's done to them, and they take revenge. I'm good. I'm good with that. So what does it all add up to? Well, there's some really nice twists at the end. I'm not going to spoil those, but, they're coming. The portrait of Slater King is probably the most interesting one because he is this shallow, empty figure, and he pretends to be a good guy right at the start, the apologetic guy who goes back to living with nature. And then he's pretending to be the billionaire mogul, and then he's pretending to be sort of Peter Pan, the leader of the party of Neverland. And then he is revealed as this horrible, toxic, selfish person. And then you go back one level, and there's nothing there. He's just empty. He's just this empty, shallow, toxic figure. There's nothing real about him. There's just this emptiness and selfishness. And what this really amounts to, though, and what really sort of separates this from the others, is the whole depiction of class, the whole depiction of society, that billionaires are terrible people, that they gaslight all of us, that they are shallow and predatory, and even at their best, they're selfish. They only care about their own pleasure, their own fixations, and the real people that they are monsters. Anyway, not the best. I see where they were going. I see what they tried to do. Sometimes they get there, sometimes they don't. But there's enough ideas going around in it, and there's enough interesting stuff. So what you've got, I think, is a grab bag of reflections or allusions or retentions of other stories, kind of stapled together. And it doesn't really flow particularly well. You can kind of see where they were going and what they're doing. And it's okay, but I think it misses the shot on being brilliant. I think it misses the shot on being great. But you know what? Give it a shot. You can certainly do worse.